Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? 19, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. I'm back in D.C. It was the 8th annual Anthony Anderson Celebrity Golf Classic, literally driving in from the airport. We're going to talk about the NAACP calling for black athletes in certain states to say no to those schools and to enter the transfer portal. We'll talk about that next. Also, Donald Trump creates his own slush fund for the white domestic terrorists who raided the Capitol. Yeah, lots to discuss there. And we also are learning about the secret deal that he signed where the IRS cannot investigate him, his family members, or his companies. I keep telling y'all this man is absolutely corrupt. Plus, we talk about the absolutely impotent governor of Colorado, Democrat Jared Polis, who let out an election denier who was unapologetic in cheating. Lots to break down. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Southern states like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Tennessee, and others are very good at targeting and ending black folks' political representation, but they cannot survive without black athletes in football and basketball. Well, the NAACP is calling, announcing their Out of Bounds initiative, calling on black players as well as alumni not to support those southern states that are engaging in attacks on black voting rights. This, of course, has been talked about a lot. Some of the people have suggested that this is what athletes should actually do to withhold their talents. Of course, a lot of these same folks following Donald Trump and MAGA have been targeting DEI, have been targeting other black initiatives. So this out of bounds campaign, of course, which is national, and again, targeting black athletes, their family, alumni, fans, and supporters to withhold athletic participation as well as donations to these schools. NAACP identified 8 priority states: Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, South Carolina, Texas, as well as Georgia. Their targets, the state's flagship institutions that generate hundreds of millions of dollars in financial support. Talik McMillan is the director of the NAACP's Youth and College Division. He joins us right now. Talik, one of the things that we discussed last week, I said really to get this thing really started, you need one. You need one of those from football, top 300 recruits to say, I'm not going to go to one of those schools. And if that thing goes public, it's going to send a shudder throughout athletics, because these white schools and ADs and administrators and donors, they are going to be scared to death of more black talent following the lead. But the key is getting one person to say, no mas, no thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always great to be on with the Roland Martin Unfiltered family. This campaign that we launched today is more than sports. It's about power. It's about ownership. It's about accountability, because black athletes, as you have said, has helped build college athletics into a multi-billion-dollar industry, especially football and basketball, as we look at here. But yet many of these same states benefiting from black talent are actively working to weaken black political representation and power. As we know, black students and athletes are not just participants and just players on the field. They are economic drivers. Their talents fill stadiums. Their talents sell merchandise. Their talent drives television ratings, and their talents generate millions in revenue for universities and states. This is about ownership and taking back that ownership and encouraging young black athletes to recognize that their talent has value far beyond a field or a court. As we say, states cannot celebrate black excellence on a Saturday while silencing black communities at the ballot box on a Tuesday. There cannot be applause for black athletes while black voting power is being erased. And so we got to take our ownership back. And so that is what this campaign is all about.
What is the plan to educate these parents and athletes? Are there plans to hold forums? Are there plans to listen? The lists are public. These recruiting lists. Does the NAACP plan on sending letters or anything along those lines to each one of these top recruits?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a goal of the NAACP and especially the Youth and College Division to continue to train and to organize and give our folks the tools and the resources as we are rolling out these campaigns. But we also want to lift up the importance that we stand with our historically black colleges and universities that have always stood at spaces where black talent and black culture and black leadership cultivation has been central. And so whether that's redirecting our support towards those institutions and investing in our communities, or for the folks who have shown up for us, if it's having conversation about every commitment and every ticket purchase, as you mentioned before, every NIL partnership, every dollar that's spent that we understand carries political and economic weight. And so having those conversations about whether it's all at a cost. So how do we change that conversation and that narrative around what talent looks like? We understand, and it's in no way, shape, or form taken away from the fact of the win that athletes won with NIL partnerships. But to what cost will we allow the disenfranchisement and the cancellation of our representation in these states who continue to make billions and millions of dollars off of our talent? And I think about NCAA and their comparison to black athletes as owning them. We got to take ownership back of our talent. And we understand, even in civil rights movement, historically, economic pressure has always been the strongest tool in our movement, from bus boycotts to corporate disinvestment campaigns, collective action funds. They have forced institutions to respond when morality did not alone. And so this is an opportunity for us to force the hand of these universities to speak up when it comes to their black students. Universities cannot continue to profit from black talent, celebrate black culture, and recruit black students aggressively while remaining silent when those same students' rights and representation and futures are under attack. And so this is a campaign about accountability in totality.
Does the NAACP plan on launching pickets at college football games in the fall? Meaning at those stadiums?
I mean, as the strategy continues to develop, we are definitely looking at multiple approaches and working with, our state leaders to see what that approach look like and how we will. But there would definitely be further action as it relates to how we show up as the fall continues to roll out as sports and the schedules continue to roll out, and especially as the portal as being open and having conversations with those athletes and folks in the space. And also getting the advisement of student athletes and coaches, et cetera. We're continuing to do the work and having those conversations, but we are absolutely, as you mentioned, strategizing on ways of how we show up definitely in the fall.
All right, then, Tyler McMillan, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
No, thank you.
I want to bring my panel, Dr. Mustafa Santag Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA. He joins us out of D.C. Also joining us on the panel, Randy Bryan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and creator of the Truthing Gang. Dr. Larry J. Walker, associate professor, University of Central Florida. Glad to have all three of you here. I mean, at the end of the day, Randy, you got to hit him in the pocketbooks. I've always said, I called Saturdays during college football season DEI Saturdays. I said, these schools, they love to see their black talent running up and down that football field on basketball court as well, but they damn sure don't give a damn about them in other places.
And they've been very clear about how they feel about us. They have stripped us of our rights. It seems like every day we're hearing of a new way they've stripped us of rights. And even these specific colleges that in these areas that we're talking about have completely killed their DEI program. So what they're saying is, we are not going to protect your children while they're here. We don't care if they have equal access. We don't care if they, have any issues on campus facing racism or sexism. And these kids provide so much to the schools. We have to understand, particularly in the sports like basketball and football, that those make the most money and they fund the athletic department. So when little Susie or Jethro is going to college and he's on the road team, there are Black men and Black and women whose bodies are paying for that. They are funding those scholarships for those kids and the entire athletic programs for those kids, and yet they won't protect the kids, yet they're telling us that even our votes don't matter whatsoever. And we have to decide at some point that we must sacrifice. I mean, I hate that we have to ask this of them, but this is where we are in this country right now if you're paying attention. And I've seen some people push back and say, oh, we're asking them to give up too much money. The people who are making the money are the schools, and they're making it on the backs of our children. Understand that fewer than 2% of our children go to the draft, basketball or football, once they've played at these schools. So this is it. It's not as if we're, counting them out that they cannot go on for a huge career. Sadly, 9 times out of 10, most of them do not go on to a career of professional football and basketball. So a sacrifice must be made so we can get our power back, because it is bigger than sport. It's about power.
Mustafa, one of the things that I find to be very interesting, and I've listened to these folks, we shouldn't be asking this of these young athletes. And I got to remind people that the leadership of SNCC, the leadership that took place during the Black Freedom Movement, these were people who got kicked out of school because they joined. These are people who were 18, 19, and 20 years old. So I think it sounds ridiculous to say, oh, my God, these athletes are too young today, when folks damn sure weren't too young who were on the front lines in the 60s.
Right.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, as a former athlete, former college athlete, my heroes were people like Harry Edwards over at San Jose State, when he created that program, the Olympic Project program, and he was a really young person at that time. Let me just say it this way, there is a laundry list of Black athletes, Black college athletes over the years who have stood up against racism. Now, the question becomes, do we get behind them? Do we support them? Do we make sure that the mechanisms are in place if they decide to transfer schools or to go to, or to choose another school? We just got to make sure that all those pieces are in place. So, yes, throughout our history, young people have done transformational actions and have given a lot. But now in this day, I think we also have additional tools that we can make sure that are in place to help to make that an easier transition. But they're still going to have to, carry the attacks. If you move from one school to another, we all know if you're a star athlete or a good athlete that, folks are going to come against you and come out. But we can make sure that we put our arms around them and make sure that they know that the sacrifices that they are making are important and that they're not alone.
Well, Larry, the thing is, you break this thing down. We have to recognize how many schools we're talking about. I mean, let's just say Texas. When you think about this call, you're thinking about Texas A&M, University of Houston, Texas Tech. You're thinking Sam Houston State. You're thinking Tarleton State. You're thinking Texas State. I'm thinking about all of these public institutions that have football programs. Then, of course, if you start talking about Louisiana, you got LSU, and then you got a host of state schools, and then Alabama. So not just the University of Alabama. You start going Mississippi, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, other schools, and then you start talking about Florida. We're talking Florida State, Central Florida, Florida International University. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And so, so it's a number of states being impacted, and that's a lot of black athletes we're talking about. I think the key here is not that we can expect, Larry, a ton or a groundswell of individuals getting into the portal. I think what the real goal here, Larry, is to have several of the top recruits come out and say, I'm not going to go to those schools. I'm going to go to Big Ten schools. I'm going to go to schools out west. And that's really what the goal here is, I think.
Yeah, I think, Roland, you highlighted a really important point. And so we should be really clear for those who are watching. When it comes to revenue-generating sports and NCAA, black bodies are the ones who generate revenue, whether we talk about football and basketball. But, I watch a lot of college sports and pro sports, and you're right. We've got to get some athletes who, and many of these students who were, feel removed from the civil rights movement, have to be committed to taking a stand, like the A&T4 did, decades ago. And you're right, Roland, it just takes one or two students, top-tier athletes, not just to not commit to these schools, but articulate that they're not, and the reason why they're not committing to these schools. Because it's we talked about the attacks on the civil rights movement, and it's impacting these students in their lives. So when you commit to these students, particularly in these states that we've highlighted, those that the NAACP has highlighted, these states have made it clear where their priorities are. And so if they want black bodies, once again, they're going to generate and leave millions of dollars and build all these, buildings, et cetera, then there has to be, not only in terms of when we talk about NIL and the economic impact, but politically, these students have got to take a stand to, not only in terms of their lives or the lives of their family members, but of future generations of black folks who should have the opportunity to vote without restriction, have someone who looks like them if they choose, or similarities to represent them in Congress or in the state legislature, House and Senate. But we're not seeing it right now. And black athletes are going to have to take a stand. And if you don't take a stand now, then when will you?
But also think, Mustafa, what this really requires, it's really going to require an aggressive education effort by the NAACP. It has to go beyond just a press release and appearing on news shows.
Without a doubt. You hit the most important point right there. So everybody's talking about these 17, 18, 19, maybe 20, 21-year-old individuals. The institutions, our institutions, have a responsibility to actually build a strong program in collaboration, of course, with these athletes, and maybe there's other athletic organizations who also want to be a part of this, to make sure that there's a real structure that's there. And it has to be well thought out. Because I remember watching Major Harris, and most folks probably aren't old enough to remember when Major was a Heisman candidate, was doing all this amazing stuff. He used to fight and push back against racism. And I remember watching the attacks on him because there was no infrastructure around him. So if the NAACP and others, and I think it's a great thing if they're going to move forward and make sure that you make the right investments and you're making sure that you are in it for the long haul, and making sure that we have this system that's built properly with the tools that are necessary, then you're talking about success. We're not talking about just a moment. We're actually talking about, continue to build a movement. And if you're not going to do that, then you're setting up these young brothers and sisters in a way that I don't think anyone at any of the organizations that we all know would want to do, but maybe unintentionally do if they don't make sure that those investments are there.
And really what this, look, Randy, you've been in the corporate space, and the reality is we're very quick to say boycott, but boycotts require an education phase, a training phase, and I think that is going to be critically important, and also in targeting, because when we talk about the athletes, you got to be targeting their parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles.
You bring up a really good point. It's particularly the parents. I'm a mother of two sons, and I know that we all have great hopes for our children. And, playing sports has been a way for many of us to make it to different socioeconomic levels. And so we all have these hoop dreams that our children will succeed very greatly. But I think that it's very important to know, again, how few of our students actually become, stars, actually get in the NFL or NBA draft, that actually go on to make a career out of being in sports. And so not to make a decision that affects you, your family, and honestly, at this point, the entire future of us as a community, because we have these dreams that most likely will not come to fruition. We have to really talk about the facts about how they use us in sports. And they're the ones who have always greatly benefited from the usage of our bodies. On the backs of Black men, particularly, is where many white men and institutions have become very rich. And I think that we need to publicize those numbers, because they don't try to show us those numbers. They like to show us on the weekends the story of the impoverished Black kid who made it out because of his talents. And those stories are beautiful. But we should not fool ourselves into thinking that that is the norm, and to recognize that we are being used. And there's a reason why they call particularly football teams the continuation of the plantation. They need to be aware. And we assume that people know this, but we know that the United States blocks us from knowing the information that we need to know. And they put out there, we're very great. Our country is great at propaganda and making us think that everybody has a shot. And one thing I always think about too is, let me tell you, if your son or daughter are the next great big player, they're going to get them. They're going to come get them regardless of what school they go to. I promise you, they will come and get your child.
Well, I think, Larry, this is really going to, the onus is not simply on the high school players and the college players. It's also on Black folks who went to PWIs, who support them, the wearing of gear, sending them money, buying tickets to the games, all those different things, watching the games, boycotting them with the eyeballs. And again, but it has to really be a well-planned and executed strategy to have maximum impact.
Absolutely, Roland. And you had a guest on. I know he's representing the NAACP Youth Division, and you pressed him on what's the plan. And I think what the NAACP is proposing to do is great, is a great idea. But you need a blueprint, and so you need short and long-term range goals. What's the communication strategy? What's the political strategy? So you really need to have all that outlined, in my opinion. And I'm assuming that they've done some of this work before you announce something like this. But it really, there's an opportunity for this to make this work. But like I said, it has to be planned out properly. You talked about, alum not wearing paraphernalia, certainly not making donations, and not just Black folks. We need to call on white folks. But also, Roland, I think we need to talk about what the role also Black coaches, not just head coaches, but assistant coaches and trainers, et cetera, what their role also is in terms of this boycott. Because, we're asking for those individuals who work for the employers, we're asking athletes not to attend these institutions. But we have to highlight many of these individuals who recruit these students are Black coaches who go out for these predominantly white coaches and recruit these Black students. But we do have to make sure that whatever the next steps are, that we've talked about, that there's clearly an educational component that outlines why this matters and the long-term impact. The last point I want to make, Roland, is I want to talk about what happened in 2015, University of Missouri, when they had those Black students call for a boycott and eventually led to the president, I think, Chancellor, resigning. It was when Black football players got involved in that advocacy work that things began to turn, and that the individuals at alum, et cetera, saw what the economic impact is. So we need Black players to take that same mentality from those 2015 University of Missouri football players.
Well, it was no different when the Mississippi State football players said, I'm not going to play ball if that Confederate emblem was on that flag. That was on June 20th, June 30th. The governor signed a bill into law getting rid of it. So that thing happened in 10 days because the white coaches said, man, we ain't going to be able to survive without these Black players. They have power as if they use it. Gonna go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
On a next, A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, a relationship that we have to have. We're often afraid of it and don't like to talk about it. That's right. We're talking about our relationship with money. And here's the thing. Our relationship with money oftentimes determines whether we have it or not. Balancing your relationship with your pocketbook. That's next on A Balanced Life with me, Dr. Jackie, here at Black Star Network.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up, not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen shooting.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Ryan Wilson, CEO and co-founder of The Gathering Spot, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Folks, today the Congressional Black Caucus Chair Yvette Clarke, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, and other members of the Congressional Black Caucus, along with NAACP President Derek Jackson, expressed their unanimous opposition to the Congressional SCORE Act. The SCORE Act would have paved the way for new standards in college sports on matters including revenue sharing and athlete compensation. Black leaders criticized the lack of response from college athletic leadership regarding attacks on black political representation. They made it clear, oh, you don't stand with us? The hell with the SCORE Act. There were a couple of CBC members who actually signed on as co-sponsors,
But they were put under massive pressure by other CBC members to drop that, and they actually did. Here's some of today's news conference.
Yesterday, amid unanimous opposition from the Congressional Black Caucus, the SCORE Act was pulled from the House voting schedule.
That's right. Yay.
We want to be clear. The issue was never simply about one bill. As the CBC made clear in letters to the Southeastern Conference, Atlantic Coast Conference, and the National Collegiate Athletic Association, the issue is whether institutions that benefit from black talent, black labor, and black communities are willing to speak out when black political power is under attack. In the wake of the Supreme Court's Calais decision, states across the South have moved rapidly to redraw congressional districts in ways that dilute black voting strength, weaken black representation, and undermine decades of hard-fought civil rights progress secured through the Voting Rights Act. For generations, black athletes have helped build college athletics into one of the most powerful and profitable industries in American life. That's right. The success, visibility, and cultural influence of major athletic conferences and institutions are inseparable from the talent, labor, leadership, and cultural contributions of black communities. Yet, at this very moment, those same communities are facing coordinated attacks on their democratic representation. Too many leaders across college athletics have chosen silence. To be clear, black political representation is not a side issue, and this is not politics as usual.
In this moment when black representation is under attack, it is important for the CBC to keep in their tradition of being the moral of the Congress, but the moral of conscience of this country. No representation, no revenue, no one black should be on a playing field of institutions that's living off of our labor, and yet in states that are seeking to reinstitute a sharecropping reality. It is not the responsibility of black America to hold individuals who should know better accountable for doing better. As soon as the United States Congress stand united to ensure our Constitution represent all of us, we will be a better nation as a result. 55% of all African Americans live in the former Confederate South. But the 55% of us who live in the former Confederate South, we will not tolerate a Confederate mentality on our labor, on our ability to contribute, and our ability to be to have representation. In this moment, our democracy is in crisis. This is not about partisanship. This is about true representation. And for the NAACP, we will fight with all we have in solidarity with the Congressional Black Caucus to ensure that we have representation, or if we don't, we will withhold the talent that play on the football field or on the basketball court, be them men or female, in this moment.
This is an unprecedented moment featuring an unprecedented attack on black political representation, and therefore it requires an unprecedented response.
That's right.
We are here standing in solidarity with the NAACP and its call for athletes to boycott institutions within the SEC that belong to states that have unleashed these Jim Crow-like racially oppressive tactics, which is unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. And we believe that the silence of these institutions is complicity. That's right. And we will not stand for it.
So let me explain to y'all what these white schools did, especially in Alabama. They were putting pressure on and really, really going after Congressman Shamari Figures and Congresswoman Terry Sewell to sign on to the SCORE Act. It's like, huh? Now the figures did. Sewell resisted, but then figures backed off. So what these white schools wanted, Larry, was for the CBC to do their bidding. The SCORE Act absolutely is about trying to end or significantly lower the revenue that athletes are getting. This ain't got nothing to do with athletes. These are white folks who are mad at the athletes are getting paid. Lost Larry, I'll go to Mustafa with that one.
Yeah, it's exactly what it's about. It is always about economic power, right? They want to make sure that they reap the benefits of these young men and women's, athletic performance and all the attention that it garners, all the dollars that come with it, all the advertising that comes with it. And it is time. It has been, far too long for young athletes who are giving everything they got. You can go out there on the field, you can blow your ACL out at 19 years old or 20 years old. And, you might even end up losing your scholarship. Hopefully schools would at least allow you to continue through with your scholarship. But that would be the end of your revenue generating power as an athlete. So yes, young people should be able to make as much money as possible. Hopefully folks are also counseling them well so they're making the investments because, these schools, let's be very honest, many of them don't care because even though you may be one of the most talented people at your respective position, whatever that might be on the basketball court or on the football field, but you are also a cog in the machine. And if you understand that, then you understand that you have to maximize the amount of money you can make in a short amount of time. As Randy said, very few will ever go on to the NFL. So now on the college level, you have the opportunity to maybe change dynamics for your family and be able to build a strong foundation. So I'm glad that the CBC is standing up. I hope that the members who had that pressure on them will see the light of day if they had not. But we also have to make sure that we're supporting those members. And that's the thing that people don't understand. If people are going to take these hard positions, they've got to know that you've got their back. That doesn't mean that you don't push them on other issues that you care about. But when they're willing to step out there, we've got to make sure they know they're supported. And the individuals who come after them, they got to know that we're going to check them also economically because we are no longer going to purchase their products. We're no longer going to support their respective brands, whatever it might be. And that's how you build real economic power, is by making sure that you have a holistic strategy of all these various pieces that come together to make the whole.
Larry, bottom line is, but they wanted the CBC to stand and protect these white schools and protect the millions upon millions they earn, and they want to keep that money from the athletes.
Absolutely, Roland. And listen, it's that saying, it's no fun when the rabbit's got the gun. And this new NIL, this new economic model is giving more power to particularly black athletes. And these predominantly white institutions, PWIs, they don't like it. And they want to shift it back into the power of the athletic directors, coaches, et cetera. You saw Nick Saban in the last couple months be at the White House multiple times talking about, we need to make changes to NIL. But these, you can't have members of the CBC when we talk about the impact that many of the Supreme Court decisions and other laws at the state level have impacted, black political power without making the connection to economic power. Particularly, like I said, black athletes have far more independence and can make far more money than they did in the past. And so we need to make sure the economic and political importance of both of this particular issue become connected or more cohesive. And we have a significant long-term strategy to make sure that everyone can win in the black community.
Andy?
The insidiousness of white supremacy that I think many people miss out on, it's not just about how much power they want and how much money they want. It's about what they don't want us to have. They don't want to see these young men, black men, be successful and be in any way compensated for the talents that they've brought. It angers them. So it's not even as if they're still not making the major part of this money. They're still getting paid. They really just can't stand to see black athletes thrive. They literally can't stand it. And that's the insidiousness of white supremacy. It's not just greed for what they want. It really is a complete hate for us to have anything, joy, money, etc.
Oh, yeah. And trust me, it's about them getting paid. So, and so you see, because of the CBC, how they responded, they decided to pull that bill. The votes are not there, and the votes should not be there. This is about attacking athletes and what they're getting paid. So, yeah, damn that. Shut it down. Shut it down. And this is no time to cooperate with any of those Southern Confederate states at all. Shut them down. Going to a break. We come back. Let's talk about Donald Trump's slush fund. Also, how stupid is the Democratic governor in Colorado? What an idiot. Letting one of Trump's cronies out of prison because he was trying to kiss his ass. I got lots to talk to say about both of those stories. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. The goal is to get 20,000 people contributing on average $50 each a year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents today, supporting this show and the other half a dozen shows on the network. So, we've had more than 47,000 donors. We would love to hit that 50,000 mark. So please support us. Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. Just hit right here on the screen. As for credit cards as well. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
They've been trying to erase black political power since Reconstruction. Now the Supreme Court is helping them finish the job. First came Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, the ruling that gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then came Brnovich in 2021, another ruling, another piece torn away. Now comes Calais, the case civil rights leaders warn could cripple the last major federal protection against racial vote dilution. And within days, Tennessee eliminated its only majority black congressional district. Louisiana, South Carolina, Alabama. The same strategy is spreading across the South. The old Jim Crow used poll taxes and literacy tests. The new Jim Crow uses gerrymandered maps, voter roll purges, polling place closures, and court rulings that make black communities politically invisible. 1965 was Freedom Summer. This is Freedom Summer 2.0, because they are still trying to erase black political power, and we will not bow.
I'm Brittany Noble, Midwest-born, HBCU educated with experience in newsrooms across the country. Well, I've teamed up with Roland Martin to bring to you The Breakdown. This isn't just news. It's our stories, our voice, our community. Join me for The Breakdown, Monday through Friday at midday, only on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
You know, there's nothing like an absolutely despicable, corrupt, pathetic individual like Donald Trump. This fool decided to sue. He decided to sue the IRS because his taxes got leaked, where it showed how he had been cheating, frankly, and barely paying any taxes. So he sued for $10 billion. Knew that wasn't gonna fly. So then he decides to create this compensation fund of 1.776, 1776, for the people who were impacted, if you will, by January 6th. You know, the white domestic terrorists who sat here and attacked the Capitol. Now, they're calling this an anti-weaponization fund by saying that these people, oh my God, their lives were ruined and it was just rough on them and they had to hire attorneys and all this sort of stuff like this here. Now, of course, Trump is also mad that Mar-a-Lago was searched by the FBI. Well, because he actually had retained documents that he should not have. Then there's a Russian collusion scandal. So when he was asked about this, frankly, it's a slush fund, this is what the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon con man in chief had to say.
The Justice Department has this new fund that was announced today, $1.7 billion.
Yeah.
Why should taxpayers pay for the January?
Well, it's been very well received, I have to tell you. I know very little about it. I wasn't involved in the whole creation of it and the negotiation. But this is reimbursing people that were horribly treated, It's anti-weaponization. They've been weaponized. They've been, in some cases, imprisoned wrongly. They paid legal fees that they didn't have. They've gone bankrupt. Their lives have been destroyed. And they turn out to be right. I mean, it was a terrible period of time in the history of our country. And they worked on it. I know the Justice Department, it's really been working on it very hard. There's been numerous other occasions over the years where things like this have been done. But these were people that were weaponized and really treated brutally by a system that was so corrupt, with corrupt people running it, and they're getting reimbursed for their legal fees and the other things that they had to suffer.
Now, check this out. We also now know, because of this, that the IRS signed a deal with the acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, Trump's former personal attorney, to not do any audits or investigations of Trump, his children, their companies, or any other people related. Excuse me? This is a fund that they can shield from the public. It's a slush fund, pure and simple. And all of these Republicans, quiet. They're quiet because they don't want to hurt his feelings. They don't want to anger him. They know this is wrong. This is beyond atrocious. And I dare say, Larry, that, and some have already said, that the creation of this fund is absolutely grounds for impeachment.
It absolutely is, Roland. And we need to call this what this is. This money, this is reparations. I'm still waiting for my 40 acres and a mule. So I think that with the phrasing, we need to describe it as reparations. That's essentially what's going on. So all these years, and they're telling black folks that they can't get reparations. Well, individuals who are responsible for trying to overthrow the government, they qualify, and we know why they qualify. But you're right. Look, Roland, this is just one of another thing every single day you could use to impeach the president. But this is corrupt. The other thing is, for people who are watching this here in America, this is unheard of to see a president in this level of, in terms of what you're trying to do in terms of monetarily benefit him and his family. But this is what happens in authoritarian governments. And if you understand world history, this happened consistently. And so now here in the United States, we're learning what authoritarians do in terms of, compensating individuals who commit crimes, enriching their families. But once again, this is another example of something illegal that the president is doing. The Republicans are simply turning a blind eye. It was President Obama. It would be a five-alarm fire, and this would be all over the news, and we would hear about it nonstop.
Not only that, check this out, y'all. This is unbelievable. So this is the thing. They are barring the IRS, Randy, from any past, present, or future investigations. The United States releases, waives, acquits, and forever discharges each of the plaintiffs from, and is hereby forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing any and all claims, counterclaims, causes of action, appeals, or requests for any relief, blah, 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 blah. Are you serious? Like, what? So it's like, oh, yeah, y'all go right ahead. Y'all can cheat on your taxes for forever. Yeah, we're good.
Corruption at the highest level. I mean, it means that for the rest of his life, no, not just his life, everyone in his family's lives, they can commit any crime that would be against the IRS and get away with it and will never be investigated. I mean, when has anybody that you know in this country been protected from being prosecuted should it be needed? It's never happened before. And that these people are so weak that they are allowing this man that much power is absolutely unbelievable. Just when I think I cannot be surprised, I am surprised again, even more. And I really also want to touch on these reparations that these thugs, these criminals are being given, this $1.7 billion that they're being given. And of course, we've never been touched. I think people will focus on what's happening now, but what they need to understand is what he's setting up for the future. He is sending a message to all of his followers that should you act a fool, commit a crime, try to tear apart democracy, attack a building, attack our leaders in 2028, I will protect you. You will not only suffer, you will be well rewarded if you show out like this. I believe he is setting up an army. I really do, to fight these battles as he tries to completely ignore the Constitution.
Folks, Congressman Jim McGovern wanted to add an amendment to stop the slush fund. Republicans refused to even vote for it and would not even allow there to be a debate on it. Listen.
Committee add a new section to the rule providing immediate consideration of H.R. 7711, the No Rewards for January 6 Rioters Act. So this bill would prohibit the use of federal funds to compensate individuals who were prosecuted for their involvement in the attack on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. Additionally, my motion would self-execute an amendment that would require the Attorney General of the United States to disclose any payments made by the so-called Anti-Weaponization Fund, which was created by the corrupt settlement agreement between Donald Trump and his own administration. This secret slush fund should be an outrage to every American, no matter your politics. I would urge a yes vote on my motion, and I yield back.
And the question is on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. The noes have it. The amendment's not agreed to.
They love the corruption, Mustafa. They love it. They love it. They love it.
They do love it. I mean, I got a tax law book over here. I'm gonna have to take a peek because down the road there's going to be a time when folks are going to have to be able to defend some of these actions inside of court. You know, the other thing that's really mesmerizing is the fact that we've had these black farmers who have been brutalized, who had to go out and get attorneys, and weren't able to receive any type of help. So this $1.7 billion could actually go to them because under former administrations, they did not live up to the letter of the law to make sure that these individuals were protected. Well, I see it's going to be incredibly difficult also when these folks go back home trying to get reelected, and you got folks who can't afford to send their kids to school, folks who can't afford to eat, folks who are dealing with inflation, folks who are dealing with a laundry list of things. And you're going to have to be able to justify how you gave your taxpayer dollars, gave their taxpayer dollars away, billions of dollars away. So they do love their corruption. They love their corruption because the courts haven't been doing what they're supposed to do, because Congress hasn't been doing what it's supposed to do. The question becomes, what will the voters do in the midterms?
Well, Larry, the top lawyer of the Treasury Department stepped down moments after this was announced. I am quite sure those two things are connected.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's a coincidence. And Roland, we need really, folks working for the Trump administration, certainly we need more people to take a stand on this level of corruption. Because his family, they've built billions of dollars from the United States government, Treasury, et cetera, various other ways. And so we need more people to take a stand and come out publicly and talk about why they're resigning, not simply resigning, but why they're resigning and the level of corruption they're seeing. And they have to be prepared for whatever repercussions come with that.
And just so we're clear, Randy, the thugs that attacked the Capitol, they're the victims.
Mm-hmm. Right, they're the victims, and the people that were attacked are the ones who did something wrong. That is the way he has framed this, and he talks about the way they were treated horribly, even though these people were found in a court of law to be guilty of the crimes. But this man has no respect for the justice system, except for the one that he's now created and completely running to benefit himself.
Yep. And then you'll love this one. This is the other thing. Once the funds are deposited into the designated account, the United States has no liability whatsoever for the protection of safeguarding those funds, regardless of bank failure, fraudulent transfers, or any other fraud or misuse of the funds. So basically, if you commit a crime with the funds, it's all good. We know now that one individual who was molesting his children tried to pay them off by saying, I'm about to get paid, I'll pay you from that. So what we know, Mustafa, they've been trying to create this fund for the last year. And Trump, he's full of shit. But I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, right.
He most definitely knew about it. I'm sure he's been briefed on it numerous times, was excited because he thinks it's a part of his get back, right? This is the get back and the kickback. The kickback is actually the dollars that are there. One of the things you didn't raise is that there's supposed to also be formal apologies that are also tied to the individuals who will receive these funds, these taxpayer dollars. So we need to make sure that folks understand that is also because Black folks, for all the injustices that we've had to deal with, indigenous folks, brown folks, a whole bunch of folks in this country have never gotten formal apologies for many of the most egregious things that have gone on. So you got that dynamic. Then, as you just stated, also, you can use this however you want to use it. When you go back and look at the J6ers, there are a whole bunch of them that have been convicted of all kinds of other crimes as well. So it'll be interesting to see those who maybe are still in prison, even though I know most of them have now gotten out, if they also get broken off with some of these dollars.
Well, here's some reaction to this. Senator Patty Murray questioning Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Now I would like to recognize the Vice Chair of the full committee, Senator Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Acting Attorney General, right now, families are paying $4, $5, even $6 or $7 for gas. Inflation is at its highest level in years because of the president's policies. But instead of helping Americans get by, President Trump is literally using their tax dollars to set up a slush fund to enrich his own friends. On Monday, your department settled the president's lawsuit by setting up a fund with $1.8 billion, and you and the president will pick the handful of people who decide how that money gets doled out. So let's be clear. What we're talking about is nothing short of the sitting president of the United States looting from the Treasury for his own gain. Do you seriously think this arrangement is appropriate? The president telling the federal government to settle a case and let him pay billions to the people that he chooses?
What you just described wouldn't be appropriate, and that's absolutely not what happened, and that's not what's happening now. So you just set up a series of facts, most of which were not true.
No,
no, it's not. I mean,
the president has set up a slush fund, however you want to say that it got set up, and he literally will get to choose through his hand-picked appointees who gets paid that fund. That is absurd.
The president did not set up this fund. It's not a slush fund. It's been done many times. We have lots of funds.
I heard your response earlier to Senator Van Hollen. This is not comparable to the case that you cited. A judge was not involved. This is the president versus himself setting up a fund.
The judge wasn't involved in the distribution in the Keep Siegel case at all. It just wasn't. There was a single commissioner that was set up, not five. And so when
the judge signed off on that case.
Yes, it was at a much later point in the litigation.
That's right. My point. That is all of our point. And I just have to tell you, this is corruption that has never been more blatant or more widespread. What is happening is you write the check, Trump and his cronies cash it, American taxpayers who are already being whacked with high prices are going to foot the bill. That's what we are seeing today, and that is what many of us are really, really angry about.
All right, so that was Senator Patty Murray. Then this is the Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune when he was asked about this. I got the impression he really didn't want to have to address this. Listen.
The acting attorney general was up here on Capitol Hill testifying, where he got a lot of questions about this new $1.8 billion weaponization fund. A short time ago, the Department of Justice laid out some additional terms of this settlement in terms of the IRS, saying that the IRS is forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing future examinations of the president. Do you believe this is a legitimate fund, and do you believe those terms are fair?
I think that there are and will be, continue to be, a lot of questions around that the administration is going to have to answer.
Oh, so they're going to have to answer a lot of those things. Okay. All right. ABC's John Carl challenged J.D. Vance on this very issue at the White House. And listen to this lackey.
Eligible to apply for this fund. I mean, you're eligible, but I assume you're not going to apply, and you don't think you should get money out of this fund. Of course. So isn't it just as easy to say that people that attacked police officers should not get taxpayer money from this fund?
Well, look, John, we're not trying to give money to anybody who attacked a police officer. We're trying to give money, not give money, we're trying to compensate people where the book was thrown at them, they were mistreated by the legal system. Sometimes, you know, we do have, John, in this country, innocent until proven guilty. We do have people who were accused of attacking law enforcement officers. That doesn't mean that we're going to completely ignore some of the claims that they're going to make. We're going to evaluate these things on a case-by-case basis. And if we think that somebody, whatever they were accused of, if we think that somebody was unfairly prosecuted and deserves just compensation, then that's what this fund is going to exist to provide. It's just going to correct a wrong, and I think that's a good thing. And I'd encourage everybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, let's turn the page on this thing that we did under the last administration where we tried to throw people in prison because they had the wrong politics. Let's throw people in prison who broke the law. I think this fund is a good part of getting justice for the people who were wrongly treated.
I'm not confused, Mustafa. Many of them were convicted. They went through the legal system. They were convicted. And in fact, here's what people don't understand about a presidential pardon. The pardon requires for you to admit you actually did not what you're accused of, what you were convicted of, and why you're getting a pardon.
They went in front of a jury of their peers. Americans across the country heard the facts, the evidence, and made decisions if someone was guilty or innocent. And in the vast majority of cases, they were found guilty by the jury of their peers. And that's the part that the vice president and others don't want to call out or highlight, because it's not like, you know, someone was arbitrarily in some federal agency saying you're guilty and that's the end of it. You literally had to go through the same process that a whole bunch of other folks across our country go through when they are accused of breaking a law. And that's, you know, they just don't want you to use your brain. And they think that they can continue to just pull the wool over people's eyes. They can say whatever they say. And the vice president is really good about talking about, and we just need to turn the page, or we need to just move forward. And no, you know, this is serious stuff. It was serious stuff when folks did it. And now it's serious stuff that you want to actually give people folks hard-earned dollars to compensate them. What are you compensating them for? For beating up police officers? For causing the deaths of police officers, for breaking into federal buildings. If anybody else does those types of things, they're going to go and stand in front of a judge, in front of a jury, and they're going to have to prove their innocence. And if they don't, then they're going to have to pay the price.
Yeah, I mean, it is hilarious listening to these fools. Here's some of the back and forth between the acting AG and Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Let me go back to this slush fund, because there's also an individual who, after being pardoned by the president, went on to molest 2 children. And that person actually tried to buy the silence of these children by saying that he would pay them some of the funds that he was hoping to get from your slush fund. Can you commit to making the rules so that that person is not eligible for a payout under this fund?
Well, you're obviously lying in your question because there's no way that this person committed to that. But the slush fund, as you call it, which is not, didn't exist.
I'm sure.
But I can commit.
Mr. Attorney General, don't ever do that again. I am reporting
what again?
He said. He said on the expectation that he hoped to get some of the funds from a payout. He's been
From
hearing
the,
what
you
we've
said
all
from
been
the
hearing.
slush fund, Senator, and that didn't exist when he said that.
This is the fund that the president and all of you have been telegraphing all along that you're going to use to help the president's friends.
And in fact, they've been negotiating, Randy, for a year to create this. So nice try, Todd Blanche, but you're lying.
Right, and Trump has said that he was going to get his cronies off. He has said, isn't like he tried to hide it. He has always said that he was going to take care of them. So there's not a question that that man promised, to some money to the families of those children. And let's not act like the Republicans are protective of pedophiles. Let's not act like that they don't have to see some weakness against pedophiles. They've already proven that they don't persecute them whatsoever. So we shouldn't be surprised that they don't seem to care about that either. This was a well thought out plan. Trump has always promised this money. So of course, like any of us would say, I got a settlement coming. We would say that because they knew they were going to get this money. They've been planning for it. So for them to act so surprised now, like Trump saying he had no idea it was going to happen. Of course he did. He told us it was going to happen. It's been in the works.
Absolutely. And so we see what's going on here. So it's like, y'all, come on now. We ain't crazy. We ain't crazy. We see what is going on here. All right, let me go to a quick break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
How you doing? I'm Mark Curry, and you're watching the Black Star Network. That's why I got these glasses on, because that black star is bright.
Folks, North Carolina Pastor Lauren Livingston lit into Paula White, the woman Donald Trump goes to for so-called spiritual guidance. Man, Livingston did not hold back lighting into her silly ass.
When T.D. Jakes was having these woman thou art loosed conferences, I was appalled at 50, 60, 70, 80,000 women showing up in a coliseum, football stadium, an auditorium, hoping that this man could say the magic word, use the magic phrase to set them free from all of the agitation in their life, the emptiness in their life. They filled it up and listened and hoped and longed for. I estimated in my own mind, you include a plane ticket to wherever. And then you got to get hotel rooms. And then you got to eat. Hey, No place that has a convention has cheap food. And then you have to register to get to it. Before you walk through the door, you got to lay down hundreds. And then when you get in there, and this is for all these people, sorry. When you get in there, you hear some stuff, and then you got to give an offering. You got to give a seed offering so that what you heard works. What you heard won't work until you give an offering. Hey, that enlivens it. That resurrects what you heard. So then you give an offering, and before you know it, you've spent thousands of dollars to go hear a man say something that makes no sense. It didn't come out of here either. I heard it. And so I ask you, if you went, if you're watching me online and you went, did you get loosed? Did it work? Did you buy your deliverance? If you did, why'd you go back next year and the next year? And why did you buy all the books so you could read them and mark them up? Folks, this is a scam. And it goes on every week in this country by some big-time mega something or another, somebody, man or woman. By the way, T.D. Jakes had as his sidekick a little lady called Paula White, Pastor Paula White, who I heard personally say, God told me to tell somebody you're going to give $100,000 today and your family will be saved. Or that's the same one that was preaching and said, yeah, I'm going to lay hands on you, but I won't lay hands on you till you lay an offering right here on the altar. Right? What is that? That's a false prophetess. That's a self-appointed prophetess who is a heretic and a blasphemer. The things I've heard her say about Jesus Christ is blasphemy. The things I've heard T.D. Jakes say and not say is heresy and blasphemy. And why'd you pick them out? Because I don't have time to pick out 100 more. Oh, by the way, Paula White is the woman that the president appointed to be his faith advisor. She has an office in the White House. She's available to the president to give him advice on faith, to keep him apprised of the evangelical temperature. She is there, and I heard her say, let me tell you, trying to preach like a black woman. And she's in a totally inappropriate clothing with spike heels. Everywhere I put my foot on the White House lawn is holy ground. I'm embarrassed. She does not represent me. She cannot tell the truth. Whatever the president heard from her is a lie. He needs help, and he needs it bad, and he needs it now, but he won't get it from her.
So here are a couple of the bites that he was referring to. Let's first deal with the $100,000. Watch.
Because I'm telling you, there's an anointing of release right now. I want $100,000 to come in. I want $100,000. There are 10 people that could give $10,000. There's 100 people that could give $1,000. Get a check, make it payable to Paula White Ministry. There are people that are watching right now. If you say, I don't have it, give $100. Bring up a sacrificial seed. This isn't for me. This is about kids that will die without you being obedient. This is about kids who are going to be minstrels and instruments and warriors and mighty for God. This is about kids who don't make a difference. I'm not going to take everybody's blessing. Come on. I'm going to tell you, get a seed of sacrifice. There's only 3 envelopes. I'm not moving. I'm not going to lay hands on people. So you're obedient. Get out of your seat. Come on. And come bring up a seed.
Does the law?
Oh, ain't that something? Ain't that something? Okay. Now, remember he said about walking on when she at the White House, and it's like, well, wherever I walk, God is walking. Listen.
Where I go, God rules. When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds. I had every right and authority to declare the White House as holy ground because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy.
To say no to President Trump would be saying no to God. And I won't do that.
We are in a spiritual war right now. Let every demonic network that has aligned itself against the purpose, against the calling of President Trump, let it be broken, let it be torn down in the name of Jesus. You want me to tell you what my thoughts are? The thoughts of the King of Kings, the thoughts of the Lord of Lords. I'm downloading heaven. Hey!
Now, you know, she talking in tongues, Donald Trump, but like, what the hell is she talking about? Because y'all know that man ain't even real as well. Not even real as well. Then you got him, then you also got that ignorant fool, Lorenzo Sewell. That's that crazy, ignorant black preacher out of Detroit. Listen to what this fool said at that white nationalist gathering over the weekend called Rededicate 250.
Lorenzo, a lot of people say that the church and politics should be separate, but there's an overlay in a lot of that. What would you tell people?
Well, Jesus was a politician. Jesus was crucified for a political term. You're no friend of Caesar. Jesus, on his crucifix, it said that he was a king, right? So we're a country whereby our founding fathers understood we can't be a country that has a civil law without a moral law. They knew one was able to inform the other. They would have never had this false dichotomy of the church and the state. They would have said, no, the church needs to be leading the state.
He doesn't believe in this church and state. But so when you're Trump and you're being led by these idiots, well, it's no shock that that's the kind of stuff that you would hear. And so just a little bit more batshit crazy Paula White. This is the video that she had them play at Rededicate 250. Again, if you want to see Pastor Botox, check it out.
America has faced moments when the soul of this nation was tested. The abolition movement did not rise from politics alone. It emerged in the wake of the Second Great Awakening, a spiritual revival that swept across our nation and called America back to God, to repentance, and to the truth that every human being is created in His image. From churches, prayer gatherings, and camp meetings, a moral conviction began to awaken in the conscience of the nation. And many of the voices God used were women of faith, who prayed, taught, organized, wrote, marched, and courageously stood against the evil of slavery when silence would have been easier. They understood that faith was not meant to remain within the church walls, but to shape the moral character of a nation. Courageous believers, men and women alike, were compelled by Scripture and conscience to stand for righteousness, even at great personal cost. Abraham Lincoln would later call America to a new birth of freedom. But Lincoln understood true freedom cannot survive apart from moral truth and dependence upon Almighty God. Today, as we approach America's 250th anniversary, we are reminded that every generation must decide what it will honor, what it will defend, and under whose authority it will live.
All right, I can't even listen to the rest of that book, that nonsense. I mean, come on. Absolute fraudulent. She's fraud. Donald Trump is a fraud. And we all know, 2 Corinthians himself, Mustafa, is just a joke.
I'm just always amazed how these people play with God. It blows my mind. But then I guess if you don't truly believe that God exists, then it's a lot easier to be able to do and say some of these things that these folks continue to and lead people astray. My auntie is always saying, she's like, be careful where you invite the devil into your house. She said, evil rarely arrives screaming. Sometimes it walks in smiling, calling itself comfort. And when I see these people doing the things that they're doing and saying the things that they're saying, it reminded me of those words, because that they fool people, right? Folks want hope. Folks want some stability, and they play on this. And, so you just got to be very, very, very careful. I mean, whether you read the Torah or the Bible or the Quran, it speaks to us about these false idols and these false individuals who will try and take you astray. So whoever you pray to and whatever book you might read, I think you just need to open it up again and then ask yourself, with all the things that you see going on in this country today, does it align with the traditional values of who you pray to and the words that they shared?
And if you want to hear crazy, Randy, listen to this fool.
Religion, if you look, it was built so. And when you have strong religion, you have less crime. It's just a fact. Whatever it may be, it's like, gee, I want to go to heaven, so I'm not going to do this or that. Who knows? But we have a country that was based on religion, and
How is the felon going to talk to us about religion? That's the part that's hilarious. He is the head criminal in charge. So how is he going to talk to us about religion? And it's funny you bring up the lady before. I just heard her main name just skipped me. You know what her education is? She's never been to a school of divinity. That woman has never led a Sunday school. Do you hear me? She has a business where she uses to peddle religion and God. She has a business. She started enterprises. She started writing books. But before then, she had never been to a school of divinity. She's never led a Sunday school class. She is a hustler, period. And so she and Trump are one and the same. But the audacity of that man to talk about religion and crime goes down, and he's a criminal, a convicted criminal. I can't get over it. I literally just can't get over the hypocrisy.
It's Larry. Go ahead.
So, Roland, to Randy's point, it reminded me of the song, Rick Ross, "Every Day I'm Hustling," because that's basically what we're dealing with. The other thing is, you cannot pray to the God of capitalism. And this is really what is at the root of this, is the intersection of capitalism and white nationalism. And so we need to really be clear about what's happening. And the contradictions about talking about God while the same individuals had multiple marriages, cheated on multiple wives, had multiple children, and lies consistently. And then those other individuals who use capitalism as a sword to convince people more money to these individuals so they can line their pockets. And so that is not consistent with Christianity or any other major religion in our society. But once again, this is individuals using the Bible as a way to line their pockets. And, as a reminder, some of those folks one individual we saw recently likes gold-plated things in their bathroom, right? So, and not only in terms of those kinds of, things, but also, like I said, lining their pockets. But once again, you cannot pray to the God of capitalism because it's inconsistent with Christian values.
All right, folks, it's always good to see racists called out. Well, 2 Texas activists went off with this white man who was censured after he used the N-word numerous times during a trial. Now, this was taking place while arguing outside the presence of a jury. Michael Phillips, a Brazoria County attorney, allegedly made the statements on May 5th during a jury trial involving a family custody modification case involving Black female attorney Brenda Daroon. Some of the statements seemed to be directed at her. Well, let's just say when Quadnell X and Dr. Candace Matthews rolled up on Phillips, they had a lot to say.
Oh, here we go. So, Mr. Nigga right here. Yeah, that's your ass.
So you the one
I
like
want
saying
you the
N-word,
one
right?
like call people niggas and shit.
You gonna
call me a
N-word
nigga.
today?
Call me one.
I bet you won't call in front of a black man like that.
I bet you won't call
In
me
fact,
no
let
nigga.
Let me help you. You call a black woman N-word, call me that.
No, call me that.
I dare you to do it, and I swear for God, I'll make you taste the ancestors.
Me too.
You a coward. Call that black woman the N-word. You a real coward,
Why
man.
would you
We'll
do
catch you
that?
inside.
Now, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Go ahead.
I guarantee you wouldn't do it in front of me.
Come on.
I know. In fact, I know you won't. Say the N-word in front of me.
Come on. Go on in there.
And I guarantee you'll taste everything for the ancestors.
Go on in
Say
there.
it. Say it in front of me. I dare you to say it.
What is your name?
It's Quadnell X, but you'll learn it real well today.
Yeah.
Say it. I bet you won't say N-word in my face. See, you talk to black women like that by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You intimidate black women by themselves. But a black man, you won't open your goddamn mouth. I dare you to say it.
With that hearing aid.
I dare you to say it.
With that hearing aid in your ear and shit. Get your old ass in there. Run around here with your bald head ass, you old spotted liver face looking bitch. But I ain't playing with you.
Sir, would you like to make a comment about what you said or about what happened?
I'm not allowed to make a comment at the present.
So, was you making a statement online or anything like that?
Who are you?
Well, you witnessed what happened?
There is a public statement online that is circulating. What I will say is I thank everyone for their support in coming today. My goal has been and always remains protecting my clients' rights and advocating for those rights. I believe that the court should be a place of decency, respect, and integrity, and I am glad that everyone here today believes in those values and are standing in solidarity with those values. Thank you.
Took it upon himself to be a bully, to intimidate a black female in the courtroom. But when a black man got in his face, he cowered up, cowered down, and you could not hear a rat piss on cotton. At the end of the day, this man's a coward, and we're not going to tolerate anyone bullying black females using the N-word and think he can intimidate them and frighten them, and those sisters don't have backup. No, we will rise to the occasion and send that bigot a clear, crystal message. Hands off of black females. We're not going to tolerate that.
And then, and one other thing in regards to us being here in Brazoria County is a majority minority county now. So those times of lynching, those times of racist behavior, especially how so comfortable that he was in that courtroom, is over. We will no longer tolerate it, and we will rise to the occasion, and we will expose it, and we will shut you down.
Cat got his tongue, Randy.
When I tell you, I watched that video about 8 times this morning. Started my day off so lovely. I'm gonna make you taste the ancestors. I'm gonna make you taste the ancestors. That's classic. That's classic. And did you see him turn as red as his tie? Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I needed some of that relief after what we've been going through lately. Thank you so much to them. Thank you so much.
Larry.
He didn't want any smoke, huh, Roland?
Nope.
Once he got this, he didn't want any smoke. You know, listen, forget all academic stuff. I'm from Philly. I love this kind of energy. We need to bottle that up. Sell it to black communities for the next couple of years so we can black folks can just open it up when they need to, so we can let folks know that if you want this kind of energy, we're going to match it and go beyond that. And, you know, the bottom line is in the society, a lot of times the kind of energy and many times the violence, verbal or physical, that black folks have had to encounter, when we respond in kind, people cower in the corner, and this is another example.
Mustafa?
I'm just excited watching Larry get fired up. You know, I mean, I was raised with individuals like Brother X, so when I see that, you know, it just reminds me of the responsibility that we have as black men to make sure that we are protecting our community and protecting our women. I also love the fact that black folks are not going for the okie doke anymore. If you want to get about it, we'll get about it. The other part of it is that, you know, even though I don't know what exactly happened inside the court, in relationship to what the judge did with this individual, but I do understand that the associations have a responsibility that you can literally have your law license taken away if you have some serious things that go down. So folks should be looking at that also. I'm sure he's been practicing for a long time. Maybe it's time now for him to take a rest and figure out that he's in 2026 and not 1946.
Well, all I got to say is when y'all decide to be racist and y'all decide to, I just keep telling y'all, all you maggots, don't let Trump get your ass whooped. See, I know that racist decided to hop his ass up in the White House and y'all like, oh, we can go ahead and just say we really think. Okay, Team Whip That Ass gonna be showing up. I'm just letting y'all know. Hashtag Team Whip That Ass will be making frequent appearances across the country. And in fact, Team Whip That Ass might look like they on tour if y'all keep it up. It's time for Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
The body of a black teen who had been missing for 5 days in Alabama has been found shot and dismembered. The family of 18-year-old Marcavius Rumpf last saw him on May 7th after he left his grandmother's home in Eufaula with a friend. His family reported him missing when he did not return, and they began searching local wooded areas for him. And the search lasted for nearly a week before ending Monday, May 11th, when Marcavius's remains were found dismembered, set on fire, and with bullet wounds. Police have identified suspects for the murder, but no one has been charged or brought into custody. Now the teen's parents are seeking justice for their son and accountability from law enforcement, who they say did not help with the search. And a black mother's secret recording has raised allegations of abuse at an elementary school in Louisville, Kentucky. Tiffany Lee discovered that her son, Samaj, was allegedly being mistreated by his teacher at Field Elementary School. After noticing weeks of unexplained behavior issues, she decided to use a hidden camera disguised in her child's ponytail. The recording appears to show an assistant teacher aggressively yelling at the child, who is severely autistic and nonverbal. While the hidden camera does not clearly capture the visual details of the interaction, the audio clearly reveals the teacher yelling. School staff discovered the hidden camera and alerted the principal, and as a result, the student was sent home for the rest of the day, and school officials say they are still reviewing the incident with the school district. And a school district in Tennessee has banned Alex Haley's book Roots due to a specific paragraph. This decision adds to a growing list of 119 books banned over the past 2 years. According to a spokesperson for Knox County School Board, the removal of Roots was not due to its historical themes, which recount the story of Haley's ancestors, including the enslaved Kunta Kinte and his descendants after they arrived in the United States. But instead, the ban was based on Chapter 84 of the book, where a particular passage was deemed sadomasochistic. School leaders in Tennessee's 2022 Age Appropriate Materials Act is cited as a reason for their decision to remove the book. Although Roots has been banned from library shelves, the committee's ruling still allows for material from the book to be taught in the class. And the Trump administration is proposing to increase the refugee admission ceiling for the fiscal year 2026 to 17,500, specifically for white South Africans. That's according to an emergency determination sent to Congress and obtained by CNN. In 2025, the administration reduced the number of refugees allowed to enter the country annually to 7,500, focusing on white South Africans. This was a significant decrease from the previous year's ceiling of 125,000, which excluded some of the world's most vulnerable populations. Trump justifies the decision to resettle Afrikaners in the U.S. by making claims that a genocide is taking place in South Africa, stating that white farmers are being brutally killed and their land confiscated. However, South African authorities have strongly denied these claims. The Trump administration is rolling back key Biden-era protections, focusing at limiting dangerous forever chemicals in the nation's drinking water. The Environmental Protection Agency will rescind and restart regulations on several PFAS chemicals linked to cancer, hormone disruption, liver damage, fertility issues, and weakened immune systems. PFAS, short for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, have been used for all the way since the 1940s in products. And the chemicals do not break down easily. They can remain in the water, soil, and human body for decades. The EPA says the Biden administration failed to follow proper legal procedures when it comes to creating the rules. Restrictions on two of the most studied PFAS and PFAS will remain in place. However, water systems can now request additional time to comply, extending some deadlines from 2029 to 2031. The decision could leave millions of Americans exposed to contaminated drinking water for years longer, much longer than expected.
All right, Brittany, folks, be sure to catch the breakdown of Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here on the Black Star Network. The breakdown, Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern on the Black Star Network. Going to a quick break. We come back. Our Shop Black Star Network Marketplace segment. Back in a moment.
They've been trying to erase black political power since Reconstruction. Now the Supreme Court is helping them finish the job. First came Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, the ruling that gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then came Brnovich in 2021, another ruling, another piece torn away. Now comes Calais, the case civil rights leaders warned could cripple the last major federal protection against racial vote dilution. And within days, Tennessee eliminated its only majority black congressional district. Louisiana, South Carolina, Alabama. The same strategy is spreading across the South. The old Jim Crow used poll taxes and literacy tests. The new Jim Crow uses gerrymandered maps, voter roll purges, polling place closures, and court rulings that make black communities politically invisible. 1965 was Freedom Summer. This is Freedom Summer 2.0, because they are still trying to erase black political power, and we will not bow.
I'm Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League, and I'm watching the Black Star Network.
All right, have you ever craved something sweet but weren't quite sure what you wanted? Well, Brick City Candy has a delightful selection just for you. They offer a unique assortment of artisanal candles that blend classic flavors with a modern twist, all crafted by hand in small batches. Joining me now, Janelle Hudson, founder of the Pyramid House Foundation. Janelle, glad to have you here. Okay, so walk us through. So I'm sitting here, and I see Apple Jacks, I see grape. I've got here, what's this here? This is called Candy with a Purpose. This is watermelon, got watermelon right here. And then, let's see, Candy with a Purpose. Got cherry right here, and then what's over here? I've got, oops, something just fell, tangerine over here. So how'd you come around to creating this?
So Brick City Candy is a social enterprise workforce development program of Pyramid House Foundation. And Pyramid House Foundation is a shared housing provider, and we have a reentry program. So we started with housing and then quickly found out that we needed to do more to be able to support our individuals returning from incarceration, to give them purpose, to foster healing, and then also to give them, obviously, a way to develop workforce skills so that they can then go into the community and live their lives productively.
So they're the ones making the candy?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And where is this based?
So Brick City is the nickname for Newark, New Jersey. And the young people that work for Brick City Candy are predominantly from Newark. We work out of a commercial kitchen in Orange, New Jersey.
So was this about teaching them how to make the candy, the packaging, all the marketing, all those things?
All of it, yeah. It's really when an individual, particularly a young person, comes from prison, there's a time period that has been lost. And life continues, life goes on. So if they're incarcerated for 2 years, 6 years, however long they're incarcerated for, if they're adult paroled, there are even more challenges that they're facing. So as soon as they come out and they're placed with us, we then give them a safe environment for them to be able to develop skills that they, one, lack. They miss a large chunk of time in developing the normal skills an adolescent into adult would develop. And also to give them a safe place to do that, to figure out what kind of transferable skills they may have, because making candy is the same process as, with different ingredients, as making drugs. So some may have been in that industry, and so it's an easy transition. And then also it's a supportive environment for them to be able to develop those skills and feel safe. If a young person comes out directly out of prison and goes into, let's say, a Costco's to work or a Target or wherever, they're not in a safe place to be able to develop the skills. So working for Brick City Candy for the period that they're with us, they're able to comfortably develop the skills that they need to then launch and go about their lives.
Questions from the panel. Let's see, Larry, you first.
Yeah, thank you for all your work. And I guess my question deals with, some of the challenges you mentioned coming out for, returning citizens, the challenges they encounter. Some end up back and incarcerated. So what are your overall rates in terms of your success rates in terms of keeping individuals back at home with their families, developing workforce skills, going to college, et cetera?
Yeah, so I would say it's a higher success rate for the older population, but for the under 30s, the recidivism rate is much higher. So the success rate is you have a better chance when they're older. For the under 30s, there's a lot more that needs to go into it. And I actually call the process the extraction from that life and to give them direction. One thing that really needs to happen and happen in a big way is healing past traumas. So I was lucky enough to develop and find my tribe of people who do this kind of work and can support the work that we're doing and supplement it with healing. So we partner with a group called Inside Circle out of California that runs healing circles. And we have our young people participate in the healing circles here in New Jersey. They also offer it here in New Jersey. And the purpose is, having some way to be able to contribute and change the dynamic of what they previously did before incarceration, to start to see the community, to start to express creativity, because there's something very healing when you are being creative, and then to set themselves on their path. So I wouldn't really measure success for the under 30 population as not going back. Because there's so many factors that play into why they may end up back in either jail or prison. There's parole violations. There's so many things that take place that contribute to that. So I hope I answered your question.
Randy?
I love what you're doing. I know that it's a challenge to get people back in the workforce or re-enter society. Is there a training program? Because I know the point is not just making candy, but the point is to prepare them to function in society. So is there also like a training program that teaches them even how to fill out an application, how to have an interview, and things like that? Or right now you're just focusing on?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 20 weeks that we work with the young person. We have a partnership with the state of New Jersey, the Youth Justice Commission, and we train them on interviewing skills, resume writing and development, how to just be in the workplace, being on time, all of the things that are required to successfully hold a job. We're taking them back and showing them how to do that in a safe place where they feel comfortable and they're not feeling like, I can't do this in this strange environment. Like throwing someone right into the workforce that's never been in the workforce, I don't think that that's, a really good setup for success.
Mustafa.
And just one quick
I'm sorry, it's Randy, go ahead, go.
I just was going to ask your favorite flavor of the candy.
So chili peña is pineapple flavor with Tajin seasoning. So like it's a little chili kick salt and sweet and salty, and banana pudding are my favorites.
Okay. Thank you.
Mustafa.
Yeah, well, thank you for the transformational work that you're doing. I'm curious, any of the folks who went through this program, have they gone on to start their own programs or create their own businesses? What does that look like?
So actually, my two co-founders, their role is, we're not a huge program, right? So let me say that. The idea is that they are credible messengers so that they can go back and pull others in and pull them off the street. So one of the co-founders, he's actually starting a trucking business. And in our program, in our developing of Brick City Candy, he learned the steps on how to become an entrepreneur, how to get your LLC, how to do all the things needed to actually start a legitimate business. So, and the other is, they're doing speaking engagements across the country because our partner, another partner of ours, the NAACP Foundation, has a really robust investment in community partners that are doing the work for the emerging adults or the under 30s who have been just as involved in system impacted.
Mustafa. I'm sorry. All right. So actually, okay. So to make sure you're right. So everybody got the questions in. Last question I have for you, in terms of, so when did y'all first start moving product?
Oh, we launched in June of 2024.
All right then. Well, so a couple of years old next month. Folks, do me a favor. Again, Brick City Candy. Y'all see it, Brick City Candy. If y'all go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com, y'all can check out the marketplace there. Look at all the different products that they have Brick City Candy. And remember, when you support Brick City Candy, you also supporting this network as well. So we certainly appreciate it. Janelle, good luck with the candy.
Thank you so much.
All right, that is it for us. Let me thank Larry, Randy, and Mustafa for being on today's show. Thank you so very much. Let me thank Greg for filling in for me yesterday. I was in Palm Desert at Bighorn at the 8th Annual Anthony Anderson Celebrity Golf Classic. We'll have a roundup of that for you soon. But folks, don't forget, do us a great favor. Support the work that we do. We had two great shows last week, man. An amazing show in Connecticut, in Middletown. In addition, in Montgomery, of course, there for All Roads Lead to the South. We streamed it to 50 platforms all across the country as well. So great feedback there. So support our work. Again, your contributions are critically important, y'all. Listen, our goal is to get 20,000 people contribute on average $50 each a year. It comes up to $1 million. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Now, what does that fund? It helps funds this show. It helps funds the other 5 shows on the Black Star Network. So it's not just me. Of course, let's go ahead and show it. You've got Second Opinion with nope. Listen to what I'm saying. Please show you got Second Opinion with Dr. Ebony Jade Hilton. We streamed that show on Thursdays. We have that show. Do we have the graphic for Balanced Living with Reverend Dr. Jackie Hood Martin? There we go. We stream that on Tuesdays. Of course, we got The Other Side of Change. Check that show out. We have that show. We stream that once a week as well. The Black Table with Greg Carr. We have that show as well, so be sure to check that out. New episodes drop every Friday. Also, Roland's Book Club. We got those dropping every Friday as well. And then, of course, the Daily Show, Breakdown Brittany Noble, every day, noon Eastern. So those are all the shows. Am I missing anybody? No, I think I got everybody. So that's all the shows on the network, folks. So your support is critically important. You want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. That's also for credit cards as well. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal's R. Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV. You see the T-shirt I'm wearing today? Don't blame me. I voted for the black woman. That's right. No, guys, you see the shirt that I'm wearing? Listen to what I'm saying. Come on, thank you. Okay, I'm rocking Don't Blame Me, I voted for the black woman. If you want to get this T-shirt, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. T-shirts, hoodies, wall art, mugs, and more. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. Again, black-owned products, support of the marketplace at shopblackstarnetwork.com. Don't forget, download the app, fan base. Follow me at Roland S. Martin. Be sure to get that Black Supporter app. And there you go. So, folks, and don't forget Bishop William Barber. We're close to hitting our goal. I told you I wanted 2,000 people. We are approaching that in terms of folks signing up for the training June 11th and June 12th and 13th. What we want to be able to do is train people when it comes to organizing and mobilizing. That's what our goal is. And so if you go to blackstarnetwork.com, come on, go to my iPad, go to blackstarnetwork.com, click that link with Bishop Barber, and you can click. We're going to have 1,000 black men, but other people, first of all, initially 1,000 alphas. Other brothers start hitting us. Sisters start hitting us, and so we're approaching that number. So we want to hit 2,000 now. So do me a favor, go to Repairs of the Breach website, or you can go to blackstarnetwork.com, click that link with Bishop William Barber, and you can sign up a 2-day virtual training to teach people how to train how to be organizers and mobilizers as we prepare for Freedom Summer and Freedom Fall 2026. We want this to be the largest black voter registration since the 1965 Voting Rights Act, so your support is critically needed to make that happen. All right, folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!